you're watching the replay, we're on day 2. You may just want to fast forward about 2 minutes because I'm coming on a few minutes early, which, just so y'all know, is very unlike me. Been on it this week. 2 minutes early. That's kind of sad. A sad testament. Okay, here you guys come. Hi, can everybody see me, hear me? All the things? Hello, hello. Good. You guys post in the comments. Let us know that you're here. Hi. Hi, Elizabeth. Hi, Brooke. Hi, Tiffany. Hi, Emily. I just got a private message from a dad in the group. Love it. Love, love, love when the dudes show up. Parenting is not women's work. We are changing that. We are changing that. Can I get a hell yes? Looking forward to day 2. Okay, here we go. Here we go, day 2. Okay, I've loved reading some of your comments. Just so y'all know, I have a couple of people on my team that are going to be responding to some of the comments. Just because I made it a point to respond to all of the introductions myself, and I go blind and lose my bandwidth for being all in the teaching when I stay on social media too much. And so some of the beautiful members of my team, Lindsay, Amanda, Lindsay is a mama like you guys in the trenches with a strong-willed little guy who's been living the Mastermind recipe for a few years and joined our team last year after I basically begged her, and she's been an amazing resource. Amanda also happens to be a colleague of mine for years, respect her so much, love her, and she has joined the team, and she is actually just such a wealth of knowledge and a walking, I don't know, neuroscience expert, I feel like. And so she really is so gifted at understanding what's going on for these kids with the highly sensitive nervous systems that are showing up with all of the strong-willed behavior. And so Amanda reached out and said, let me respond to some of these situations. And I was like, yes, yes, yes. So I just want y'all to know who's going to be responding and a little bit more of their story. So we're so lucky to have them weighing in on things. So as we say, it takes a village. So today, y'all's homework assignment, I started it off, first of all, is that not the most hilarious video? I love that video. I saw it recently and I just was like, okay, we got to have some fun here, because that video just, to me, it says so much. It says so much because when we can look at something and see ourselves, see when we have played these different roles, it brings a level of self-awareness. And there's actually science behind bringing some laughter and some humor into it that just, it just puts us in a brain state where we're really like in the right frame of mind to learn new things. We're not in a defensive state. So that's why I like to infuse some humor. And I just thought it was so good. And it was so interesting to read y'all's comments. Now, what we're going to do in this live session is I talked a little bit about this not enoughness epidemic that seems to plague most of us in our society. And I want to talk a little bit more about that. And this is really the mindset piece, because every day I'm giving you guys a mindset tip and then a tool to go practice. A mindset tip and a tool to go practice. I could sit here and teach just a bunch of parenting tools. Do this and then do this and then do this. But the problem is that those are Band-Aids. Unless your mindset, unless you work on the mindset piece, you're not going to have the long-term results. So that's why I really like to tackle the mindset piece. And for those of you who are new to my world and maybe who have never listened to the podcast and just heard about me on Facebook, this may all be brand new to you. And I just want to explain to all of you that this is a process and we have fun learning, and we're learning about ourselves and retraining your brain to think differently, to start to kind of learn about some new concepts or think about things in ways that you've never thought about before. It's not easy. It takes an open-mindedness to be able to do so. So for any of you here who are brand new, I just want y'all to take a breath, relax, take it in, see what resonates, leave what doesn't, and just understand it's a process, okay? Life is a journey. This is a process. So you don't need to grasp everything right away. Even if you just are introduced to one new aha per day, that's huge. That's huge. And as I like to say, what we focus on grows. So I want you to celebrate yourself for being here. I've said this to a couple of different people. You are here. You could be anywhere else. You're in the middle of the day attending a parenting challenge. What sounds worse than that? And you're here. Okay. You could be doing anything. You could be binge watching Tiger King. I just finished episode 3. Don't anyone spoil it for me. It's a ridiculous, crazy ride. But you could be doing anything else and you're here. So I just want y'all to celebrate that you are committed to your family. You're here, and that's something. That's something. And it's actually something big. Okay. So this not enoughness epidemic that many of us find ourselves in, I sort of want to talk about it, and I'm going to connect it back to It's Not About the Nail video. Okay. I read several of your, responses to your homework, and I think, a lot more probably identify with the wife, which that is just saying, sorry, one second, I'm thirsty today. That's basically you recognizing that you have felt not heard or seen, or you haven't felt like somebody that you care about, that you really wanted to be that sounding board for you, that you wanted to show up, understanding that you just needed to be heard, you just wanted to be listened to. And they refuse to listen. They just want to point out what they think is the obvious thing. You got a nail sticking out of your head. What they see is the obvious thing. And somebody was saying that, they get frustrated because their husband's constantly pointing out, you're not doing this and you're not having this and there are no consequences and you're not strict enough and you're not blah, 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 blah. And that's what's obvious to the husband, the person that's playing the husband role. But what's obvious or what the wife really needs in terms of stating the obvious is not to point out that there's a nail in her head. It's to point out that she seems really frustrated and she feels like there's a situation that she needs to figure out. And she's asking for some support just in terms of hearing her and validating her. So when we're stating the obvious, right, we go, and I think many of us with our kids go into, and I know for me, I always say my mastermind's made up of a bunch of us that are recovering fixers. we want to go into telling the people all the things that they need to be doing because it's so obvious to us. There's a nail sticking out of your head. How can you not see that you're getting C's and D's on your report card because you're playing video games and on your phone all the time and waiting till the last minute to do everything? You know, how can you not see that? Like, we want to point out all the obvious things. And so we think that that's stating the obvious. But the truth of the matter is that we state the obvious by just noticing exactly what the person before us is feeling and experiencing. We're walking in their shoes. We're seeing their perspective. Okay. So you've got, let's say you have a little bitty one who's melting down and freaking out. And when they're melting down and they're freaking out, they're in the lowest part of their brain, okay, what I call the trunk of the brain. And they really can't hear you. So when you state the obvious and you have a child that's melting down, you're literally just saying, you know, you're just noticing exactly what's before you. Your fists are clenched, your voice is loud, your face is red. Something must have really happened. Something must have really upset you, okay? The husband in that video would have said, you seem super annoyed and frustrated and angry. I can't even remember exactly what the thing was. You're trying to figure something out and you want my help. And she might say, no, I don't want your help. I'm sick of your help. Okay, my bad. You don't want my help. Tell me what you do want. Tell me what is going on for you. I really want to understand. This is important to me. He's just stating the obvious based on, you know, what's before him is that she is frustrated. If you have a 15-year-old who is refusing to get out of bed and you want to go in and play the husband role of, well, if you got out of bed, you wouldn't feel so depressed all day and you wouldn't feel like life was standing still. And you wouldn't, like, we want to go into that role and state the obvious. When you're in bed all day, life's not exactly happening, right? But really stating the obvious to the depressed teenager who's in bed all day is, it seems like there's no point to getting out of bed. It's like we're on quarantine, we're here on lockdown. It's a major bummer, you miss your friends, and you're like, what's even the point of getting out of bed? That's stating the obvious, okay? So how does this tie back to the not enoughness? When we have the feeling of, I'm, you know, like somebody said something and I could tell it was their not enoughness story coming up of like, I don't feel like a good mom. I'm not enough. I'm not a good mom. I'm not thin enough. I'm not young enough. I'm not pretty enough. I don't have all the answers. I'm not patient enough. All of the not enoughness comes from an inner dialogue that was conditioned, most likely when we were kids, where the people in our lives, when we were experiencing big feelings or moments of frustration, instead of just showing up with the tool that I'm going to end up teaching you today and empathizing with us and not trying to solve or fix, hold on, I'm sorry. My son's going to keep texting me. If I don't tell him I'm on a call, please text later. Sorry. That ding would have been driving me nuts. We didn't receive that message of, listen, I'm here. Tell me. This is important. You're important. I'm not going to try and solve your problem or fix your problem. I'm just going to send you a message that you are worthy of being heard. You are worthy of being listened to. And it usually comes from the best of intentions when we jump into that solving and fixing mode, as it did for many of the adults in our lives when we were kids, right? They see the nail sticking out of our head. They want to help us. They want us to get the nail out. They want to state the obvious, which is what they think is the obvious. But what's the obvious, what stating the obvious really means is that they just are there And they're like, I see, I hear you. Something's going on. Tell me more. I've got time. You are worthy of my time. You are worthy of my attention. I will sit here and hear you. Because you know what? What y'all are going to learn tomorrow is the final step of, really, I'm teaching y'all the foundational blocks of my productive conversation process. The final step tomorrow is really about guiding the wife in the video to find her own answers. Because when people find their own answers, rather than somebody else stepping in to solve or fix, when people get to at least take a stab at their own answers and feel like someone's holding space for them to do so and cares about them enough to give them the time and the space and the attention to just be heard and to be kind of guided into finding their own answers, well, then that person trusts the husband role. That person feels supported and validated. And then they start to think of how they can solve their own problem, and they trust the other person and they feel empowered. Well, maybe I could do this, or maybe I could do that. And now it's a confidence builder, and they're finding their own answers, and they trust the other person who just held space for them. So they're like, well, what do you think? What do you think I should do? What do you think of this plan? Or they trust you enough to be like, I think that sounds like a decent plan. I have a couple ideas if you're open to hearing them. And then the kid looks at you, or your spouse looks at you, and they're like, what? What is it? Like, that's them saying, okay, thank you for taking the time to state the obvious, empathize with me, see my perspective, let me know you see my perspective, and then move into a place where I actually got to feel seen and heard and valued, which is primal for all of us humans. Oprah, I remember hearing an interview with Oprah years ago where she said, in 25 years of doing my talk show, people, except for sociopaths, which is a very small percentage, believe it or not, of the population. She said, except for sociopaths, every other person had two things in common. Do you see me? Do I matter? Do you see me? Do I matter? People want to be heard. And when someone shows up with the generosity to hear us and doesn't jump into fix it and solve it mode, right? And invalidation mode, like, we finally feel that sense of enough. Does that make sense to you guys? So we have to model the behavior we seek. When we show up for our kids doing these things, hearing them, holding space, generosity, all of those things, and send them the message that they absolutely are worthy of our time and attention to be heard, well, guess what happens in return? When we need to be heard, when we all of a sudden are spending a lot of time hearing them, collaborating with them, it becomes less of a because I said so and I'm the parent, and it's more collaborative. Well, now all of a sudden, when we do have to step into that role, which is I call like the pack leader role, where we have to get firm. One of the moms said she calls it calm and strict, and I said I call it firm and loving, but I think we mean the same thing. Sometimes I say when we have to open the can of whoop ass because the people are acting impulsive and not making good decisions, and we got to put our foot down on something and follow through on a rule. When we have to do that, well, now there's a relationship, and they're able to hear us because we've listened to them so many times. So if you have a child that's just digging in their heels and they won't even let you get two words out, it's because there's just been a lot of control on the scene and not a lot of listening. Not a lot of listening, not a lot of this sense of, I got time. Let's figure this out. This is important to me. You're important to me. Something's clearly going on with you. There's a whole bunch of big feelings happening, and it's important to me to understand. And I can't hear you right now. So tell me, it seems like you're super frustrated, super angry. Your sister was just, y'all, I heard something happen in there. Your sister's driving you nuts. Tell me. Here. Ah! Whoa, whoa, whoa. I can't even process or hear that. I need you to tell me so that I can hear it. This is important. Okay. So, I got Lindsay who said she was going to box me if she wants to weigh in, just making sure she didn't send me a message. Okay. Let me start reading these comments. I'm going to go on. I'm going to go on here. Hold on. Linz, wait.
I'm here.
Okay. Do you have anything? Do you have anything you need to weigh in on?
I start reading these comments. I'm going to go. I have one.
Yeah. What is it?
Jen Scopel.
Uh-huh.
Do you have anything?
Wait, for some reason it's not where there's like an echo or a delay or
Jen
something.
says, I have one. Yeah. Empathy is my number one strength. What is it? Jen Scopel. Do you have it?
Linz, you need to turn off the volume when you send me these messages, like turn off the volume on the video because there's like a delay or an echo or something. Okay. So, I think I explained the whole not enoughness. Does anybody have, I definitely try to control more than listen, says Elizabeth. And Elizabeth, speaking to what I said at the beginning of this, all change starts with awareness, okay? So I want y'all to be very conscious of when guilt starts to come on the scene. Guilt will sabotage growth. So even just saying things out loud and being aware, wow, I think I have had a lot of control on the scene. Oh, maybe I'm understanding why my kids are so shut down and resistant to hearing my guidance. I want you to recognize that just noticing that is a huge first step, and something to be celebrated. When we choose to celebrate the tiny things, like, okay, today I'm going to notice all the times that I go into a place of control, and I'm not going to beat myself up about it. I'm just going to notice it. Awareness is big, right? When you start to notice and you're like, okay, this challenge has kind of brought up a lot for me and shined a spotlight on all the things that maybe I've been getting wrong for a decade. And you're going to want to go down that rabbit hole of it. Maybe it's too late. I've done irreparable damage. Or you might be going into like, who is this lady? Like, I turned out fine and this is the way my parents did it. It's going to be fine. And these kids, they can't be behaving, blah, blah, blah. And so you might go into that place of sort of denial. That's just your brain trying to sabotage you from doing the work. Okay. What I by focusing on the small wins, like I'm starting to become aware. I could be anywhere else, and I chose, if you live in Houston, it's a gorgeous day outside. Gorgeous. You chose to be here right now. When you start to focus on all those small wins and small celebrations of yourself, that is also a way you start to undo the not enoughness story that is going on in so many of our heads. And if you're like, I'm not making sense of this not enoughness, you know you've got this going on even in little ways. Like if you ever talk to yourself in your head in ways that you would never talk to your best friend, like if you make a little mistake on something and you're like, oh, what an idiot. Why did I do that? Why did I say that? That's part of that negative inner dialogue. It comes from somewhere. And so when we celebrate the tiny little wins, we start to undo that. Okay, let's see. Lindsay says, Jen says, empathy is my number one strength, yet I struggle to show empathy to my kids when they're melting down over things that I don't think should be causing a meltdown. For instance, my kids can have a 30 to 45 minute meltdown if they don't have a particular pencil for their schoolwork. So if you look at the thought, they shouldn't be having a meltdown. Okay. They shouldn't be having a meltdown. That's what you actually have control over, is what you're thinking about the meltdown. My hunch is that arguing with a kid getting upset about not having the right pencil, by not showing up with empathy, by, Q-tipping, this is not about me, this is not about me, this is not about me, this is probably not even about the pencil. Okay, there's more to figure out. There's more to understand here. The mindset piece for moving into the listening part of empathy really it's called quiet curiosity. You just have to get curious. So Jen, right there, you're arguing with reality. They shouldn't be upset about not having a pencil. So that thought, they shouldn't be upset about not having the right pencil, is really the thing that's putting you down that control rabbit hole and arguing with reality, and probably sending them into more of a meltdown, and it exacerbates the problem. The beautiful thing about Q-tipping, stating the obvious, and then getting curious, quiet and curious to find out more about what's really going on, is that it de-escalates a situation. Like, there's so many meltdowns that happen that never needed to happen. And these simple tools, if you guys just, like, you're learning about it. The hard part is actually trying them, is actually going into action and trying them. And at first you'll be like, how do I do this again? You'll mess it all up at first. And then you just keep trying and keep trying and keep trying. It's like learning a new sport or a new skill. Okay. So you have a kid that's like, you've got a pattern of a lot of explosiveness and freaking out. And it's actually a coping mechanism for them when they're feeling moments of frustration. They freak out about something silly, like the wrong pencil. You have regular number 2 pencils, and they want the mechanical pencil. The mechanical pencil, the lead keeps breaking, whatever. So they're used to, when they're feeling frustration in their body, they act out about something really ridiculous. You argue with reality and tell them it's not anything to get upset about. So that's the opposite of stating the obvious. That's like pointing out the nail in the head. When really stating the obvious is, you got to sit here and do this work, and it'd be nice to have the right pencil, and you got to use this thing, and it's not the pencil you want. It sounds so stupid, you guys. So stupid. It's the same thing as like with a 3 or 4-year-old offering 2 positive choices. You want the red bowl or the blue bowl? You don't care which bowl. And we could argue with reality that they shouldn't care which bowl. The red or the blue bowl doesn't make the cereal taste any different. However, all those little 2 positive, they care. The 3-year-old cares. It's very important to them to eat out of the blue. No, I want the yellow bowl. Oh, here's the yellow bowl. Not a problem. No big deal. For whatever reason, they feel like the cereal is going to taste better out of that bowl. Whatever. Instead of arguing with that reality, we empower them with 2 positive choices. We meet them where they are. All of a sudden, the situation de-escalates. Well, the same thing with the pencil. If we Q-tip and are like, this is not about me, of course this seems silly, and I'm a fully functioning adult, and a writing utensil is a writing utensil. I actually happen to really care about my writing utensils. I really like this kind of a pen. It makes a big difference to me. So whatever's going on, your child may be that they don't feel, it's gorgeous outside. They don't want to do schoolwork. They're at home. It doesn't even make sense to their brain. Home feels like the place where you play and do like a little bit of homework. And now they're having to do schoolwork all day long. Or maybe they've already been working for however long. Or maybe they didn't want to shift gears. Whatever. There's some level of frustration going on in their body. So they're looking for an outlet for that frustration. And what the pattern has been in the family is that when they make a big deal about stupid little things, it's like game on, and then mom argues, and then it's like a fight, back and forth, power struggle, fight. Then they go into this explosive meltdown, and it's actually a release for them with all that frustration. So now they've developed this as the pattern to help them cope with frustration. What they need is help building new skills. The way we start to navigate that is by stating the obvious, which is, you seem so frustrated. You don't want that pencil. Tell me more. Quiet curiosity has us go into, say more. What is it? What do you hate about that pencil? I don't know. I just hate it. You said you're super strong about it. Okay. What other kind of pencil would work for you? What do you want? Why don't you look in the drawer and see if there's another kind that'll be better? I'm not going to do it. Blah, blah, blah. You know, at first, when you first start stating the obvious, just so you know, if you've had a pattern of them using you as a punching bag to get their frustration out, and then it's game on, and they actually get a little bit of an adrenaline rush, and they are able to feel it, they're altering themselves biochemically. They don't realize they're doing this. If that pattern has been the reg for you guys, when you first start stating the obvious and you're like, so go look in the drawer and find a different pencil. It's okay. You can be selective about your pencil. It's your schoolwork. It's your deal. I get it. It's fine. Go look and see if there's a better one. You never buy the right ones. Okay, I can tell you're super upset about this, and I'm going to walk away. I trust you to handle this. If you need my help on something, you can come find me and talk to me in a way where I can hear you. You disengage and you walk away, but you've just stated the obvious. They were super frustrated. You got curious. You offered some help. Go in the drawer. They keep fighting you. You disengage and you walk away. You disengage and you walk away. Saying things like, I hear you and you can handle this. Come get me when you need my help is just your way of saying, I'm not doing. You know, at first, when you first start stating the obvious, just so you know, if you've had a pattern of them using you as a punching bag to get their frustration out, and then it's game on, and they actually get a little bit of an adrenaline rush, and they are able to feel it, they're altering themselves biochemically. They don't realize they're doing this. if that pattern has been the reg for you guys, when you first start stating the obvious and you're like, so go look in the drawer and find a different pencil. It's okay. You can be selective about your pencil. It's your schoolwork. It's your deal. I get it. It's fine. Go look and see if there's a better one. You never buy the right ones. Okay, I can tell you're super upset about this, and I'm going to walk away. I trust you to handle this. If you need my help on something, you can come find me and talk to me in a way where I can hear you. You disengage and you walk away, but you've just stated the obvious. They were super frustrated. You got curious. You offered some help. Go in the drawer. They keep fighting you. You disengage and you walk away. You disengage and you walk away. Saying things like, I hear you and you can handle this. Come get me when you need my help is just your way of saying, I'm not doing this dance anymore. I'm not doing this. I'm disrupting this pattern I'm not going to be your punching bag anymore. So the quiet curiosity of, this seems super silly to be getting all upset about a pencil, but there's got to be more to what's going on for them. When you handle it this way and you just get quiet and you disengage and you disrupt the pattern, what you'll find is you'll have a child that'll finally come to you and they'll say, I can't believe you never buy the right pencils. And then you'll say, is it really about the pencil or is there something else that's bothering you? Like, tell me more. Are you just sick of this schoolwork and this homeschooling thing? Like you can talk to me. You can tell me anything. It's important to me for you to feel like you can tell me anything. Everything's figure outable. I'm here for you. When we get quiet and we ask them those kinds of questions, and we really care, we're not judging them for being so particular in their pencil choices, right? We're just kind of there. And then your child starts talking, well, it's just hard for me to write with that kind of pencil. And yeah, I don't, and they start talking to you and you listen. Okay. The tool of the day is the duct tape dance. And we have a really funny meme about it because mostly what you're going to do is say very little. You're going to get quiet and you're going to do what we call active listening. Active listening is really an amazing way to hold space and do what I was talking about at the beginning of the call. Send our kids the message that they are worthy of being listened to. So it might look like, yeah, I hate these kinds of pencils. I hate those pencils. Tell me more. What about them? I don't know. I just hate them. Well, which do you have a preference? I don't know. Is it really the pencil? Yeah, it's the pencil. But I also I don't know. It's also, this is just ridiculous. This, Mrs. So-and-so, she gave us so much work. You're like, it feels like a lot of work. So you're like saying very little. You're not offering new information. You're just mirroring back what they say. It's even like fragmented sentences. A lot in your tone, in your voice, in your makes sense. Yeah, it's homeschooling. It's like enough. You're sick of it. It's just like all day. And then I'm over here telling what to do and you're frustrated. You've had enough of it. Am I getting this right? So it's see how it's kind of awkward? I think this is the hardest thing for us to do as parents. I know it is for me, right? As a recovering fixer who still goes into fix-it mode plenty, let me tell you. And when I do, my kids will say, I don't want you to tell me what to do. I just stop talking. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, tell me, what is it? What do you think? I don't know. Okay. You know what? It's totally fair to be frustrated. I get it. And then a lot of times, with my older kids, I've been doing this for a long time. I'll usually go into a little, yeah, I've been super frustrated too with such and such, I'll just send a message of me too. And it's not even it's almost like I diffuse the situation by sort of talking about when I have felt the same way recently. So it's this connecting moment where I'm just sending them the message. I get it. Me too. Me too. Me too. Me too. So the duct tape dance is us not solving, not doing what that husband, not pointing out the nail. If you just, you know what, does a pencil really matter? If you just get your work done, then you'll have all day to play. The more you make big deals and have meltdowns about pencils, the longer it's going to take for you to get this stuff done and go do the fun. Like, we want to jump into that mode. Don't. You just want to zip it up, okay? And let them just do what the wife wanted to do, what so many of you wanted to do in your comments, which is just spew. Just act as a sounding board. We're sending the message. I get it. You are worthy of being listened to and heard, and you're allowed to feel frustrated and all the things. And I'm here and I got you. And I'm not going anywhere. And I don't have to jump into solve it and fix it mode. I'm just going to be here in this act of generosity and holding space. Okay. Let's see. Lindsay says, Michelle says, I need more tips on how to get myself calm first when I'm triggered by their screaming and disrespect before stating the obvious tone. What are some practical ways you can get yourself calm quickly? Okay, so the breath is one of the, I teach breathing in a mantra. Literally where I started when I started practicing the tool of being able to Q-tip was I would take a deep breath audibly, where my kids would literally hear me go like, which I know sounds weird. And if you have older kids, they'll be like, what? You're modeling how not to go into a temper tantrum. You're modeling how to calm yourself down. It's fine. They tell you you're weird and it's creepy. It's totally fine. Don't worry about it. It's much better than going into a yell, because when you go into the yell, then you model the behavior you're trying to get rid of. And then they go into a freak out, and it's because you're freaking out and they're freaking out. It's like just more of the same. So you taking a deep audible inhale and exhale, that's where you start. And even doing it in an exaggerated way, close your eyes. It's really mindfulness strategies. A mantra that I like to teach, I call it the mama meditation, is I'm safe, I'm calm, I can handle this. I'm safe, I'm calm, I can handle this. You literally say it over and over. And it's because when your brain is going into a triggered state, you're going into your amygdala, you're going into your fight or flight place in your brain. And so it's very hard to think clearly. Like none of us are our most brilliant selves, so we can't remember any of the things. So when you're in a triggered state, like noticing where you feel it in your body when you start to go there, and immediately replacing that urge to yell with the deep audible inhale and exhale. And then you're breathing, you're taking 3 deep audible inhales and exhales, and then like rubbing your hands together. I shared with someone something about my 4-year-old niece recently when she had a meltdown. And afterwards, she said one of the things that helped her to calm down was when I said, you want to pet the puppy? And she pet the puppy. And I said, what do you feel? And she said, the puppy feels soft. And I said, where do you feel it? She said, on my hand. And she was like, on my hand. She was doing that. And I was like, tell me. Where if she goes, it feels really soft. And so later on when we made a video for my mastermind, and I said, what helped you to calm down? She said, petting the soft puppy, rubbing your hands together and noticing what it feels like as you're breathing. I know it sounds like maybe years ago, if somebody would have told me this to calm myself down, I may have wanted to punch them in the face. So if this is annoying you, I totally get it. And this works. Like, there is science behind it. I promise you, I've read books on this because I'm a fact finder like that. When you bring the awareness to something like, what does it feel like when I rub my hands like this? Like, some people will walk over and actually need an action, like washing their hands, and you're taking a deep breath. There is a biochemical like recalibration that happens from taking deep audible inhales and exhales and rubbing your hands together. And if you're telling your brain, I'm safe, I'm calm, I can handle this, there's also some science behind that phrase. It's literally helping your brain to move back up to the part that stores this information that you're learning here. When you're in a triggered state, you can't remember any of these things. So the only thing you can do is bring your awareness to your body so that you can move back up in your brain. Does that make sense? Okay. So Karen says, oh, that was Lindsay responding to Karen. I don't know what you were saying there. So today's tip, quiet curiosity. Okay, quiet curiosity to actively listen. The tool is the duct tape dance. Listen to stop fixing. Listen to stop fixing. I have to add a little Texas slang in there for everybody who's not from Texas. Listen to stop fixing. We want to get curious. We want to Q-tip and not attach judgmental thinking to they shouldn't be. We don't want to shit all over ourselves. They shouldn't be making a big deal about this, about what writing utensil. They shouldn't be doing this. They shouldn't be freaking out. When we Q-tip, when we manage our own thoughts and we show up from a place of quiet curiosity, after we've stated the obvious, we've noticed exactly what's before us without necessarily pointing out the nail. And then we're just like, say more about that. Tell me. Something's going on. Is this really about the pencil? Yes, it's about the pencil. Okay. Look, who am I to say? You're particular about your writing utensil. Who am I to say? I'm particular about where the color that I paint my nails. You know, you may think that's not something to be particular about. Like, who am I to say that you shouldn't? Okay, well, let's get it on the list. Let's order the right pencils from Amazon today. If this is so important to you, I didn't know. You know, like we're just surrendering. We're like, whatever. It's not a big deal. We don't need to make a big deal out of it. So we're just kind of showing up. So you just hold space, and before you know it, chances are your child starts to talk to you about what's really going on, and it's not the pencil. And it's not the pencil. Okay. So Lindsay will post in the group, I think she put something at the top, the tip and the tool of the day, the meme, and you guys can save it to your phone. It's a little parting gift. I do want to give a shout out to Jamie Forrester, who won yesterday's challenge. So Jamie, congratulations. And you get a signed book, and we will mail that out to you. And you also get one-on-one coaching with me that needs to happen between the 18th and the 25th of this month. So super fun to do that. What else? Does my team have anything for me? Lindsay, do you have anything for me? What are you saying? Hold on.
The winner is Lindsay Whitfeld.
Ooh, okay. So the winner today is Lindsay Whitfeld. Hopefully I'm pronouncing your name right. Lindsay Whitfeld, you won. You're the winner of the day. So my people will be in touch with you to help you schedule your laser session and get your address and all that good stuff. Let's see. I have a minute to, let's see. Quiet curiosity. Listen to stop fixing. Yes, Jen. Yes. I know. Jen, was that helpful for me to go through your scenario? Did it make you uncomfortable, or was it good? Christy says, how do these tips work when a child's refusing to comply, like refusing to get off the phone or do chores? So a child that is just like digging their heels in and absolutely in a state of refusal, it's a sign that there's just been a whole lot of control on the scene. So I want you to start with baby steps. And I want you to start with, when I teach the productive conversation, to have a truly productive conversation, the best time to do it is when you're not in the moment. So if you have a child that has, yesterday refused to get off the phone and refused to do their chores, today, or at a moment where you guys are sitting and eating a sandwich and you're okay, that's when you start to use these tools. That's when you start to first see their perspective by stating the obvious, realizing there was more to the equation. You got to have quiet curiosity to find out what's really going on. So you're having a sandwich and you're like, hey, yesterday when I was, telling you to get off the phone and and you were like, not, and you were just not like, tell me what was going on with that. Like, it seems like you were just like tuning me out. Like maybe you feel like I'm just always telling you things to do, or I constantly am like on your back, or like you just seemed annoyed and frustrated and you just did not even want to listen. So that's us stating the obvious. That's what happened. And we're sort of seeing her perspective. There was a reason she was ignoring you. There was a reason she was ignoring you. And chances are she's ignoring you because she feels like there's probably a lot of control on the scene. So, when you see someone else's perspective and you state the obvious and you actually put words to the way they were feeling and you nail it, if you get it wrong, they'll be like, that's not what happened. I don't feel that way. You're like, oh, okay. Well, how do you feel? We just want to get a conversation started. How do you feel? What is it? Help me to understand. It's important. And if we nail it, then all of a sudden you have a kid that is in their thinking brain and they're all in because you just nailed it. And so now they feel understood and seen and connected. And they're like, well, yeah, sorta. And you're like, so does it feel like I'm on your back like all day long? Like, do this chore, do that, get off the phone, blah, 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 blah. Does it feel like every time you're hearing from me, it's me telling you, you got to do something? And you're just like frustrated with that. See, that's us stating the obvious. Let me tell you something. That part of the productive conversation, even just doing that one first step and not making their behavior about you, quit taking it personally and doing that one step, that is a game changer. That is a game changer because it's actually a pattern disruption. People are not used to someone else coming and engaging in a conversation, especially a kid and a parent, especially if control has been way on the scene, which it has for many of us. They're not expecting it. So it's a pattern disruption. So when you say it and you sort of nail what they were thinking, they're going to like look at you like you're clairvoyant, and they're not expecting. They're like, well, yeah. You're like, I've kind of been on your back a lot lately, haven't I? I've been feeling stressed and I think I've been hounding you a lot. And they're like, I'm sorry for doing that. I've been under a lot of stress. I think I've been taking it out on you, barking a lot of orders. And that's probably felt super frustrating for you. Like that. I mean, can y'all imagine all of the people who chimed in who have been the wife with the fixer husband? If all of a sudden your husband knew how to show up for you and say, hey, like yesterday when I was telling you had that nail sticking out of your head and you didn't want to hear it and you kept getting mad at me, like you seemed annoyed with me and frustrated. Do you feel like I'm not really listening to you? Do you feel like I'm just always telling you what to do and I'm like on your back and I'm not just like here for you? Like, are you, I mean, can you imagine if that was happening? Like, I mean, I hope no children are in the room. How much sex would you be having with that husband? Like, that's the real aphrodisiac. Like, that's the real connector in relationships is, do you see me? Do I matter? When we show up in that way, where it's like, I see your perspective and I'm actually going to put words to it. It's so powerful, you guys. It's so powerful. Okay. Let me see, make sure. I think we can wrap it up for today. So Lindsay Whitfelt, you won. And those are the tools of the day. Tomorrow, quiet curiosity and active listening, which is really the duct tape dance. Quiet, reflect back what you hear, say less, don't give words of wisdom, extract information, get them talking and just reflect it back. It's pretty simple. that's what I want y'all to practice. I want y'all to practice stating the obvious in that. And then tomorrow, we're going to move into the final step, the foundational piece of the final step of the productive conversation. And I mean, it's like, it is such a powerful tool. And the amazing thing is like, as parents, I think so many of us in our not enoughness script in our head think that we need to be like the all-knowing parent and have all the answers and tell everybody what to do all the time. And this is going to turn that whole theory on its side, because the final step is not that. It's not that. Okay, guys, super fun. We'll read some of the comments later. And I think that's it. Jessica says, so hard to get out of the pattern. I will say this, Jessica, just so you know, I have been studying in my personal life a lot about behavior change and truly how to help people be motivated in the right way to take all the right actions, and building things into our mastermind that helps people to truly take all these baby steps, like little baby steps, including like things like this, like a challenge, having prizes, having more accountability, like really helping people to do all the things that lead to behavior change. So I'm obsessed with it. And it is hard to change a pattern. It's the reason we have a multi-billion-dollar diet industry, because everybody's like, oh, New Year's resolution, I'm going to finally lose that weight. And then 3 weeks in, people are like downing the sleeve of Oreos. Behavior change is hard. And the cool thing is, in all these books I'm reading, is that the whole field of neuroscience has proven that it is not just possible, but like super possible. And there's all these crazy hacks and ways to do it. So I'm sort of obsessed about learning that, because it's important to me to help my people truly be able to retrain your brain and to create behavior change and have the life that the life and the family that you've always wanted. So so fun to do this with you guys. Okay, until tomorrow. Bye, guys.